Welcome back to the Morning Kickoff Show. I'm your host, Matt Witt, and we are back to recap a Minnesota Vikings 20-17 win over the Washington Commanders, where Kirk Cousins come back. Fourth quarter, Kirk Cousins has returned when the Minnesota Vikings were down by 10 points, led his team to 3 straight scoring drives, including 2 chip shot field goals from Greg Joseph and an absolute dime to Dalvin Cook, who put on the double move as a receiver. Minnesota Vikings find another way to win in what might not feel like a convincing win for many Minnesota Vikings fans. But that aside, the fact is the Vikings are 7-1. The fact is the Vikings have won 6 straight games. Kirkvember now has returned with yet another great performance to lead this Minnesota Vikings team to what feels like the best first half of a season in a long time. And at least in the Kirk Cousins era. Kirk Cousins' first time ever being 7-1 in a great win over his former team, the Washington Commanders, who have struggled at the quarterback position since giving Kirk Cousins to us in free agency. To recap this game for the Minnesota Vikings, we have had multiple players step up in this game. And I first want to mention here, thank you, Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, for coming into this organization, keeping the core that we had, and completely changing our offense and defense in this season. First off, trading for TJ Hockenson. For TJ Hockenson to step up on this team, picking up the playbook just 3 days before this game, wearing Travis Kelce's number 87, coming out there and looking like Travis Kelce, puts a smile on my face for this Minnesota Vikings team, as he is exactly the kind of guy this Vikings team needed. Not only does he already look like a Viking with his haircut and beard that he has, but he plays like a Viking. Meaning he plays with heart on this Minnesota Vikings offense, on this Minnesota Vikings passing offense that needed him desperately. As we were looking to him on third down, we were looking to him in the red zone. And while he didn't get a touchdown in the game, 9 receptions in your first game is ridiculous. And it just shows how important of a role he's going to play on this Minnesota Vikings offense. Justin Jefferson, obviously, big day for him too. I believe he had 13 targets in this game, had over 100 yards receiving once again. First receiving touchdown since week 1. Would have had another receiving touchdown, but unfortunately it was a 50-50 ball and ended up into the hands of the Washington team. That aside, our offense came out guns blazing to start with the first drive. I believe it was 9 plays that led the Vikings to a touchdown drive to Justin Jefferson and 78 yards marched down the field. Incredible. And it just shows how great this passing offense is. As on 3rd and 1, we snapped the ball to Kirk Cousins, put it in his hand to throw what was like a 13-yard pass to Justin Jefferson, if I have that right. I mean, it just shows how Kirk Cousins playing at an MVP level. Justin Jefferson, second in the league in receiving yards right now. Looking at the rest of our passing offense, Adam Thielen, 500 career receptions now with the team. All reliable Adam touchdown Thielen, over maybe the best receiver over the age of 30 right now. Coming up with what is again another great day for a wide receiver too. KJ Osborne, X Factor. TJ Hockenson is one of those players you cannot stop. And I saw the Vikings throw that 50-50 ball to Justin Jefferson where unfortunately it ended in the hands of the defenders. And a lot of people kind of trash Kirk Cousins for making this pass, saying, "Oh, why would you throw this pass? I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense." But at the end of the day, those people that are complaining about Kirk Cousins throwing a 50-50 ball to what might be the best receiver in the league are the same guys that were complaining last year when Kirk Cousins wasn't being a risky passer. And this is what I just want to say here. Kirk Cousins making those risky throws that might end up being an incompletion, that might end up being an interception, but more likely than not will end up being a touchdown, is a great sight to see. And unfortunately, it did end up as an interception, but once again, great to see Kirk Cousins making those passes. And I just want to say that because, yes, I know a lot of people are going to get mad, but Kirk Cousins being a risky quarterback is what you want your quarterback to be. Looking at it right now, I'd like to see more 50-50 balls to TJ Hockenson as a 50-50 ball to him is like a 70-20 as he's 70-30 as he's a very massive guy. I believe he's 6'6", 230 pounds or something ridiculous like that. That aside, looking at it, not a bad decision for Kirk Cousins to throw that ball, but Kirk Cousins came together in the fourth quarter. I believe this was the most Minnesota Vikings game we could have ever have asked for. The refs try everything to screw us over in what felt like the biggest biggest screw over by a ref for this Minnesota Vikings team all season, running into the defender. Can this aside, we find players when they do something bad, a targeting hit. We find players when they take off their helmet after getting a touchdown, when they do taunting and stuff like that. Can we find a way to punish referees? Because impacting a play like that, what could have been an interception, what likely would have been an interception by Cam Bynum, should be punishable. If it was a player who ran into a ref, they're getting fined. They're getting suspended. But when a ref runs into a player on an active play to give up what was maybe the biggest play by the Washington Commanders offense, should be punishable. I don't care whether you fire this guy, fine this guy, get this guy off the field. One job, call the game, get the heck out of the way. And he did the exact opposite. He did what was one of the best blocks of the game, right on Cam Bynum. Early hit, pass interference on the referee. Looking at it, it's just ridiculous to see how every sport has this massive officiating problem. And I think it's ridiculous that we can find ways that Elon Musk can find ways to go to Mars and do a bunch of crazy things, but we can't find ways to have technology evolve this game, have technology run down plays, find holding calls, do something. And I'm no software engineer, so maybe I'm speaking just from an idiotic point of view because I don't understand all this kind of stuff, and maybe having this many terrible officials is the better way to go. But looking at it, the NFL undoubtedly has a massive officiating problem that they have to solve some way, somehow. Because every week it feels like there are games like these where the refs not only call bad plays, but now are impacting bad plays. Pass interference on the referee on Cam Bynum. Just a ridiculous, ridiculous play. And I get it. The referee was not trying. I guess he was trying to get out of the way, even though he was running directly into the play. Still, that aside, give a punishment to the referee. If it was a player that runs into the ref, they're getting fined. If a player takes his helmet off after getting a touchdown, they get fined. If a player finger wags, they get suspended. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's so stupid how we have grown men playing football and can't even taunt a little bit, yet referees can do anything without punishments whatsoever. And I think it's so stupid how referees can impact a play like this and just continue to ref the game, no punishment, whatever, goes about its day, likely not even going to get fined, likely not going to lose his job, just going to continue about his day like nothing happened at all. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Vikings would have likely come up with a big time interception, stopping a scoring drive from Washington. And also, more importantly, Washington would likely not have been, this game probably wouldn't have gone into the fourth quarter. That aside, I never like to blame a game too much on the refs. I just am calling for, please, the NFL to do something about their officiating problem. With that being said, that aside, defense had a great day. Once again, defense has really come together. These last 3 weeks defensively have been great. Now, looking at the quarterbacks we played these last 3 weeks, I mean, Skylar Thompson, Kyler Murray, who hasn't been playing at the all-pro level that he once was. And then in this game, Taylor Heineke. It's not like the Vikings defense has been the best in the league, but they've come together. They've been able to get to the quarterback, meet at the quarterback, and turn the ball over. Vikings have been turning the ball over every week, it feels like. These last 3 weeks have been outstanding. This is like what I mentioned earlier, and I'll continue to mention it. Minnesota Vikings giving up multiple big-time plays, especially in the passing game, is not what you want to see, but at the end of the day, Vikings being able to come up with big-time plays, big-time sacks, big-time pressures on the quarterback, big-time turnovers. Harrison Smith, once again, third straight game with a turnover. This is the first time in his career where he had 3 straight interceptions. Just 4 interceptions on the season, second in the league right now. Harrison Smith still playing at all-pro level. The guy's like 32 now. 32 throughout his entire career, rookie season until now, 12 years in, still playing at an all-pro level, still the top 5 safety in this league. If you look at me dead in the eyes and tell me that Harrison Smith is not a future Hall of Famer, I am going to smack you, because we don't only have one future Hall of Famer on our defense in Patrick Peterson, we have 2 with Harrison Smith. And maybe by the end of Zadarius Smith's career, if he continues to play as well as he's been playing, can add him to the list as well. Going to be interesting. Would he want to retire as a Packer? Would he want to retire as a Viking? Who cares? Because at the end of the day, the Vikings defense is loaded. Vikings linebacker tandem might be the best in the league. I might be biased saying this, but our Vikings linebacker tandem has been unstoppable these last few weeks. Looking at the edge guys specifically here, Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter. Great. Perfect. Unstoppable. Danielle Hunter coming into this game, 2 sacks in this game. Great. Zadarius Smith also having a standout all-pro season. We already know those guys are great. Look at the the guys on the inside. Eric Kendricks and Jordan Hicks. These are 2 of the best tacklers in this entire league. They've been able to stop the pass, stop the run week after week after week. It's so good to see how great our Vikings defense this year has been on like 3rd and short. 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1. This Vikings defense has been great. So excited to see what we can do against these great opponents that we're going to have to face going forward. Tough opponents that we're going to have to face. And this is what I mean to say here, because a lot of people say Vikings are only 7-1 because they haven't played anybody. This is the NFL. Okay, every opponent that you face is tough. I don't care if we're facing the Houston Texans one week and the Chicago Bears the next. Yes, we're far superior than those teams. Any week, any team can beat any team. Any given Sunday. This is not college football where you have stat games. You have games that you have to win by at least 30 points for it to be a convincing win. This is the NFL. It doesn't matter what you do on the football field. It matters what the score is at the end of the day. And looking at it for the Minnesota Vikings, we've been able to find weird ways to win. We have. Let's be completely honest. And we haven't beat great opponents so far. I believe, have we beat one team with a winning record, not named the Miami Dolphins, who had a backup quarterback? I don't know. But at the end of the day, Minnesota Vikings, it's going to be interesting to see what we can do against playoff teams going forward. The next 3 games should all be tough opponents. I mean, Buffalo Bills, top offense, top defense in the league. After that, you play the Cowboys, who are one of the best also in the league right now. And then you play the Patriots on primetime, who Minnesota Vikings don't have a good primetime record. But that aside, looking at it for the Minnesota Vikings defense, I already hyped up this Vikings linebacker tandem. Vikings defensive line, we knew was going to be great going to the season. Vikings secondary, we talked about 2 future Hall of Famers already. How about the young guys? Cam Bynum, great day. Well, Cam Bynum had a solid day. Cam Dantzler, unfortunately, did go down with an injury, has been having a breakout season. Caleb Evans stepped in and did phenomenal. To have a rookie corner, a 4th round draft pick, rookie corner, step in with this much confidence and come up with a big time 4th and 1 stop for the Minnesota Vikings is exactly what we were asking him to do. And now for the Vikings player of the game. Okay, this was a tough one because a lot of players had a good day, but they weren't deserving of the player of the game, we'll say. Vikings only won 20-17 against the Washington Commanders. Actually, one of the 4 games, I believe there were 4 games this weekend that on Sunday that finished 20-17, and the Vikings were one of them. And 20-17 is the most common score in the NFL, but still, to see 4 games finish with that score is incredible. Vikings player of the game, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Captain Kirko Cousins. Captain Kirk Chains Cousins. Kirk Vember now, I don't know what you want to call him. At the end of the day, Kirk Cousins has been playing at an MVP level. Looking at his stats in this game, it's not that impressive. I mean, 55 completion percentage, 265 yards, 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, 81.8 passer rating. Again, two passing touchdowns. Kirk Cousins at least has 1 passing touchdown a week. I believe that he has the 2nd of all time record. Whatever the record is, you guys know what I'm talking about. Most consecutive games with a passing touchdown. But that aside, Kirk Cousins, the reason why I'm giving him the player of the game in this game is simply because of 4th quarter Kirk Cousins. Vikings are down 17-7, and Kirk goes ahead and leads his team to 3 straight scoring drives in just about 4 minutes. Starting it off with the 3rd and 7 play, where he threw a 48-yard dime to Justin Jefferson on full stride to take control of this Minnesota Vikings team, setting up a chip shot field goal for Greg Joseph, which he makes because he makes everything that's under 50 yards, it feels like, and also setting up another chip shot field goal at the very end of the game to win it, but more importantly, the 12-yard dot to Dalvin Cook, who put on the double move as a receiver. This offense is so weird. It's so weird. And I love how unpredictable we are because looking at it, last 2 years for the Minnesota Vikings was so disappointing. And the reason why I say that is because we had so much talent with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook playing at all pro levels, and yet the Minnesota Vikings had 2 straight seasons where they missed the playoffs. And this felt so terrible to watch. Now going into this season, the Vikings offense is so unpredictable with new head coach Kevin O'Connell, and you love to see it. Minnesota Vikings offense. Another great day. 7-1. 4-game ahead of anybody else in the NFC North right now. A lot of people make the argument we haven't beat anybody. Fine, you can make that argument after these next 3 games. It's going to be interesting to see if people are still going to be making that argument or if the Vikings are going to be listed as a fraud. Going to be interesting to see what happens for the Minnesota Vikings. Either way, we're going to be in the playoffs looking at just how weak this NFC North is right now, how dysfunctional the Packers are, how awful the Bears. The Bears are now going through a full rebuild. Lions just beat the Packers, but they're still looking to get in CJ Stroud or Hendon Hooker or whoever in this upcoming draft. Bryce Young, I don't know, new quarterback. Going to get rid of Jared Goff's contract. Interested to see what the rest of the NFC North's plans are, but the Vikings' plans winning a Super Bowl this season. Let me know what y'all think.